What's up, YouTube? I hope each and every one of you guys are healthy and enjoying life today. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the 2024 Mazda CX-5 Carbon Turbo. Huge thank you to Perez over at Safford Mazda of Fredericksburg, Virginia for allowing me to do this video for you guys today. If you are interested in this particular CX-5 or any Mazda product, then I'll be sure to have Ray's information on screen as well as in the description box down below. But with that said, let's get into the video. Well, it's another windy day in VA, so I do want to apologize in advance for any wind noise in today's video. It's been very windy where I live recently, and I just kind of got to deal with it. So just like usual, first, I'm going to talk about the exterior and the performance. So like I said, this is a 2024 Mazda CX-5 Carbon Turbo, and the CX-5 Carbon Turbo comes painted in the $450 Zircon Sand Metallic. I wanted to preface this video by saying for 2024, Mazda added the Carbon Turbo trim to the CX-5 lineup. So with that in mind, as standard with the Carbon Turbo, you get adaptive LED headlights with high beam control, as well as LED daytime running lights and LED turn signals. This is what the front end of the Carbon Turbo looks like, and with this trim level, you get a gloss black front grille with your Mazda logo located at the center. And then coming down just a little bit, you get a black chrome signature wing, and this is what Mazda refers to as their signature wing. And then coming down just a little bit more, you get a gloss black lower fascia, which is what this piece is here. And then finishing things off at the bottom of the bumper, you get that satin black front chin. And I also wanted to mention that with the Carbon Turbo, you get 7.9 inches of ground clearance. Now, that gloss black theme carries down here around the side from that front fascia into your satin black wheel arch moldings. This is where the wind might be bad, so I'm going to kind of try to block it a little bit. But anyways, these are the wheels you get with the Carbon Turbo, and they are 19-inch black metallic finish wheels wrapped in 225/55 Toyo A36 all-season tires. There's a view of the wheel face. I'm going to give you a view of the tread pattern on the tires there real quick. And then taking a step back, here's a front 3/4 shot of this thing. And I did want to mention that you do get G vectoring control plus with all the CX-5s. Here's a little bit of wind. I'm going to try to block it a little bit. And I did want to mention that the Carbon Turbo also comes standard with rain sensing wipers. But this trim level, like I said, gloss black pretty much everywhere, so that does follow through to your mirror caps. So you do get gloss black mirror caps with integrated turn signals, and as standard, these side view mirrors are heated, manual folding, and you will find your blind spot monitoring on the upper left hand side of your driver's side mirror and on the upper right hand side of your passenger side mirror. Now I'm going to take a step back and give you a little side profile shot of this thing. There's a little bit of the wind. I apologize for that. I'm trying my best. But I did want to show you that at the top of your windows, you get that satin black window trim, and then at the bottom of the windows, you get the satin chrome window trim. You also get body color door handles with keyless access. Just keep in mind though that the keyless access function is only on your front 2 door handles. The rear 2 door handles do not get the keyless access function. And then again, more gloss black, so you do get that gloss black door cladding at the bottom of all of your passenger doors. And then coming around to the driver's side, this is where you will find your fuel door. However, to open up the fuel door, you do have to go into the interior and you pull on this release here, and your fuel door will pop open. And I did want to mention something with the CX-5 Turbo. It doesn't matter if you get the Carbon Turbo, Turbo Premium, etc. I did want to mention that this will take regular or premium fuel. However, if you fill this up with premium 93 octane, you can see an additional 29 horsepower over if you filled this thing up with regular. You also get an additional 10 pound-feet of torque when filling this thing up with premium as opposed to regular. But as mentioned, it still will run totally fine on regular, and actually Mazda does recommend you put regular in this. But if you want a little bit more power, if you get a lead foot, fill it up with premium, and I think you'll be very happy with the results of that. But anyways, up top here, you get your body color shark fin antenna as well as your body color roof spoiler with your integrated third brake light. You also get a rear window defroster. You get your rear wiper back here and LED combination taillights. Here's a little booty shot of the Carbon Turbo. You get chrome badging back here. Obviously, this being a turbo model, you get the turbo badging on the lower right-hand side of your liftgate. And then just underneath your Mazda logo, you will find your backup camera offset to the left. And then just underneath your Mazda logo, if you put your hand underneath here, you'll feel a little pad. pull up on that pad and your power lift gate will open up. I'm going to sneak into here and be blocked by the wind a little bit, but I did want to mention that the Carbon Turbo gives you a power tailgate with height adjustment. So you can adjust the height of which that you want the tailgate to open up to, so it doesn't have to open up all the way. You can open up to about like right here. You just set the height adjustment yourself. Now, taking a look at what we got going on here in the interior, you do get fold flat second row seats. So if you wanted to fold down those second row seats, you have these door handle looking things on both sides of the trunk. And let's say you wanted to fold this seat down right here, you just pull on this and that seat would drop, except the passenger seat is just a little bit far back, hence why it's not folding flat all the way. And then if you come to this side, you pull on this one, you get that center seat that folds down. And then if you pull on this piece right here, that seat will fold down. But again, my seat's just a little bit too far back. But you can see with those second row seats down, you get an additional about, 4 feet of storage space. So that is definitely nice if you're hauling stuff around. And then also on both sides of the trunk, you get that little cutout, little cubby area. You can set some things. And then if you lift up on that, you can have another little storage cubby if you take this piece out, and you could set like, gloves or something like that down in there. But then on the passenger side of your trunk area, you have a 12-volt power outlet. And if you lift it up on this piece right here, that is where you will find your spare tire, and then your jack is located back here, and you get a little bit of storage space down on that both sides of, your spare tire. I was gonna say on one side, but it is on both sides. And that's kind of about it for what we got going on in the trunk area. However, on your lift gate, if you flip that, you get an LED floodlight. And that's kind of about it for what we got going on there in the trunk area. Now let's finish things off here at the back end. So back here, you do get a gloss black trim piece, again, that runs across the upper piece of your valance. So you do get a satin black valance. You also get a dual exhaust system and a max tow capacity of 2,000 pounds. So, this is a small SUV, so you shouldn't expect it to have a massive tow capacity. 2,000 pounds, you can pull 2 jet skis or something that weighs under 2,000 pounds, like a 4-wheeler, maybe a side-by-side, probably not a side-by-side, but I do know you can pull a jet ski or 2 and an ATV or something like that, maybe a little bike utility trailer, something like that. Not the most capable when it comes to the tow capacity, but this makes for a great daily driver because it's got just the right amount of power. And then when you get the turbo model like we have here today and you fill it up with premium, this thing will kick you in the butt when you get on the throttle. It is actually pretty fun. And I guess with that said, let's move into performance. Popping open that hood reveals the 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder that makes 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque when running on regular fuel. However, if you want to see a little bit extra power, you can fill this thing up with 93 octane and see 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Either way, it's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission for a 0 to 60 time in 6.2 seconds. And if you were wondering about fuel economy, you can achieve 22 miles per gallon in the city, 27 miles per gallon on the highway for 24 miles per gallon combined with all-wheel drive. One thing that I really like about the Turbo CX-5s is that you can fill it up with regular, save a little bit of money. But, if you're feeling a little frisky, you want a little bit of extra power, you fill it up with premium, and you can see a little bit of additional power and torque, which I think is awesome. But if you're enjoying the video so far today, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm on my journey to 100,000 subscribers, and I cannot reach my goals without your support. So if you're enjoying the video, if you've learned anything from the video, please just take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. Those things look very good for my channel in the YouTube algorithm, and that helps me get closer to my dreams. So I'd appreciate it if you do those 3 things. But with that stuff out of the way, let's move into the interior. Moving on into the interior, as before mentioned, you do get keyless access. So all you have to do is have your key fob in your pocket, walk up to the vehicle, press this button right here, and it will unlock. You can also lock the vehicle by pressing that very same button again, and it will lock right back up. But this is what the key fob looks like. It's mostly satin black, but going over the functions on the key fob, starting from the top, you have your lock function, your unlock function, your power liftgate function, and your panic function. But pressing the unlock button, let's see what the interior of the Carbon Turbo has to offer. So this is the only interior you can spec with the Carbon Turbo, and it is the terracotta with black leather upholstery. You also get the black faux suede going down the center of the seat, and it is perforated because the front seats as standard are heated and ventilated, but I'll get into that here in a second because we are going to start with the driver's side door panel. So at the top of the door panel, you get some vinyl wrapping, some gray trim, your door handle, and then coming over to here, you have your power side view mirror controls, your unlock and your lock functions. This button is going to restrict your passenger window privileges. You get automatic up and down windows at all four corners. You get a nicely padded armrest with some terracotta accent colored stitching. You also get a little bit of storage space here, a spot you could set a water bottle, and the Carbon Turbo comes standard with a 10-speaker Bose sound system. Again, this is what these front seats look like, and as standard, you do get an 8-way power driver seat with power lumbar, as well as a 6-way power passenger seat with no power lumbar. You also get 2 memory seat adjustment settings as standard with the Carbon Turbo, and this is what your seat controls look like for the driver's seat. This is for your power lumbar. This vehicle only has 3 options on it, and the only option here on the interior are these $170 all-weather floor mats that have the CX-5 badging on them. But now, stepping on into the interior, let's take a listen to what this thing sounds like when you close the door. Now it sounds like what it fires up. Now, I'm going to lock the vehicle and basically walk you throughout all the interior controls. So, coming over to here, you have an HVAC vent. This button is going to pop open and or close your power liftgate. However, I have noticed that when the vehicle is locked and you try to open the power liftgate, it won't let you do it. You have to unlock it in order to open up the power liftgate. And then this button is to turn your lane keeping system on or off. And if you come down just a little bit more and you pull back on this, that is going to pop open your fuel door. And if you pull back on the one on the right, that is going to pop open your hood. Coming to the bottom of the steering column, if you flip this down, that gives you access into your manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And what I mean by that is you can push the steering wheel away from you, you can bring the steering wheel towards you, and it also moves up and down. And then once you find your comfortable position, all you got to do is lock it right back into place. But now, let's take a listen to the turn signal. That is what the turn signal sounds like, and not only is this your turn signal control stock, this is also your headlight control stock. So if I flip that all the way up, that is headlights off, that is headlights automatic, that is daytime running lights on, and all the way up is headlights in the always on position. Personally, for me, I like to leave it in automatic because I think the vehicle does a good job at turning the lights on and off when need be. And then zooming back out, you get a leather wrapped steering wheel with steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. You get your downshift paddle on the left, your upshift paddle on the right, and just like any other vehicle, you have your horn at the center. So let's take a listen. That is what the horn sounds like on the CX-5. Now going over the steering wheel controls here on the left, you have your volume controls, and if you click on the center of the volume control, that is going to mute the audio system. And then that is to go forwards on a track, that is to go backwards on a track if you're on your Bluetooth audio player. And then if you click the info button, that is going to change what you see at the center of your 7-inch LCD display. And then this is to speak to the vehicle as well as pick up on a phone call. And by speak to the vehicle, I mean like you can say, hey, can you turn the HVAC system to 68 degrees? And it will do that. And then again, that is to hang up on a phone call. On this side of the steering wheel, all CX-5s come standard with Mazda's radar cruise control. It's basically adaptive cruise control. So here are your adaptive cruise control settings. And as mentioned on the exterior, you do get rain sensing wipers. So you just set it to automatic there. And let's say, you know, the rain is just drizzling, the wipers are gonna go slow, but it will adjust the intensity of the wipers depending on the intensity of the rain. So if it's raining really hard, the wipers will wipe fast. If it slows down, they will slow down. So I also like the rain sensing wipers as well. Moving on into our gauge cluster. On the left-hand side, you have your tachometer. On the right-hand side, you have your coolant temperature gauge, your fuel gauge. This is your fuel range. You can see right now we have 316 miles until empty. Then that is our odometer. This is your instant fuel economy stuff. That is the ambient exterior temperature, and then this is your speedometer. Now, if you wanted to, let's say you live in a town right on the border and you go in between Canada and the United States quite often, right? You can have this thing right here, and if you click on that, now I'm back in miles an hour. If I click on that again, it brings me back into my kilometers an hour. So again, makes it easy if you switch between the United States and Canada quite often if you're commuting or something like that. So I'm gonna leave it in miles an hour because, you know, I live in the United States and I use miles per hour when driving down the road. So that's why I'm in it right now. But anyways, down here, you got your transmission status stuff. This is your lane keeping system. You can see as I click that button down there, it turned the lane keeping system off. Right now at the center, we have our trip B information, but as mentioned a little bit ago, if you click this info button, you can change what you see at the display. So now it's my driver assistance stuff. Now it is letting me know what my service due. My service due is in 4,980 miles. Then I have my compass and my fuel range. Click that one more time. Now it's just my needle for the speedometer. And then I got my trip A and trip B information again. And that's kind of about it for what we got going on here at the center of our gauge cluster. One thing I did want to mention is that the Carbon Turbo does come standard with a head-up display system, which is right up top here, and it is displaying the digital speedometer readout at the moment. You also get your Bose tweeter there, another Bose tweeter over there, and moving into our infotainment system. This is a 10.25-inch infotainment system with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto connectivity. So I do want to show you what the Mazda screen looks like. So if I click on Mazda, I'm out of Apple CarPlay, and you may notice that when I touch the screen when I was in Apple CarPlay, the screen was touchscreen. However, now if I try to touch the screen, it is no longer touchscreen. So the screen is only touch when in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Every other time it is not touchscreen, and you have to use all of these controls down here, which actually makes it very easy to use while you are driving. So basically, this is what the screen looks like. At the top, you have your information stuff. So you have those three things there. All I'm gonna do is click the back button. So this is the back button. This is to shortcut you into your audio stuff, shortcut you into your home button. This is going to shortcut you into your nav stuff, and then this is a favorites button, which I'll get into here in a second. But basically, just clicking the back button brings me back into this screen. I can go into my entertainment stuff, I can go into my phone stuff, I can go into my navigation stuff, but if I go all the way down, it's going to bring me into my settings. So I can go into in-vehicle displays, because this vehicle does have a head-up display system. I can click again, go into active driving display, and I can adjust the height of the head-up display system. I can adjust the brightness of the head-up display system. Right now it's in auto brightness. Then you can adjust the tilt of it, so I can move it like this or like that. And then you can also adjust the content that you see on it. So you can see navigation guidance, active driving display content, and those are the only two things that you can do. And then, or you could reset it to factory settings. But anyways, go back into the sound settings, safety settings, vehicle settings. You can go in between all of these different settings here, but I'm not going to mess too much with that, because if I wanted to go into this side of the screen, all I'm going to do is click this over to the left, and it's going to bring me into my notification center, and it also lets me know my clock up top there. And then let's say I wanted to go back into my Apple CarPlay stuff, right? All I would have to do is flip down on that, and then that's going to bring me back into my Apple CarPlay stuff. It just like kind of disconnected me from Apple CarPlay. But anyways, if you wanted to go back, all you would have to do is click down on that, and it brings you back into your CarPlay stuff. So that is about it. And you can see now the touch screen is working when I'm in Apple CarPlay, but if you're not in Apple CarPlay, it is no longer touchscreen. But coming down just a little bit, you get two HVAC vents, and in the middle of those two HVAC vents, you have your hazard button. Obviously, you also have your push button start button. Down here, it lets you know who is buckled and who is not buckled, and it also lets you know if the passenger airbag is on or off. With this vehicle, you do get a dual zone climate control system, and that is what the climate control system looks like, with your temperature control there, and when the screen is on, that is what the screen looks like. Obviously, you also get a power button there. And I also wanted to mention, as mentioned a little bit ago in the video, you do get heated and ventilated front seats, but you do get 3 levels of adjustability with both. So the outer buttons on the top are your heated seat buttons, so you get 3 levels of adjustability, and the outer buttons here on the bottom are your ventilated seat functions with 3 levels of adjustability. Coming down just a little bit more, you get a 12-volt power outlet, and the Carbon Turbo also comes standard with a wireless charging pad. This is an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it also fits in the wireless charging pad down in there, and it is a bigger phone on the market, but you can see it is sitting in the wireless charging pad. And then zooming back out, you also get a leather wrapped shift knob. And if you wanted to control the transmission with the paddle shifters or the gear shifter, all you would have to do is go into drive and then flip this over to the left. And now you can control the transmission with either the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, or you can push up to downshift and pull down to upshift. So you get two ways you can control the transmission. And then you also have your drive mode selector down here. So you have 3 different drive modes. You get sport mode at the top, normal mode in the middle, and off-road mode on the bottom. You can see on the gauge cluster, it kind of changes what the theme is. So in sport mode, it's red. Normal mode, it's just black. And then in off-road mode, it's kind of like a sand type color. But moving over to here, you have an electronic parking brake that will light up in amber when it is engaged. If you wanted to disengage the parking brake, you'd have to push your foot down on the brake, push against that, and then the parking brake will disengage. This is your auto hold function. If you're tired of holding your foot down in traffic, you turn that on, the vehicle will hold you in place by itself with the braking system. Again, all of these controls are for your infotainment system. And if you click this button right here, you can set this button. It is a favorites button. So basically this is a configurable button right here, and you can read that right there. Basically gives you quick access into radio stations, contacts, navigation, destinations, and more. So this button with the star is a configurable button. And then you also have your volume control knob here. Push down on it and it will mute the audio system, but definitely nice to see a physical volume control knob. Coming back a little bit more, you get those 2 cup holders. You get a nicely padded armrest that is leather wrapped with some terracotta accent colored stitching. And then if you open up this, you get a 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB-C ports. This is removable, and I would say you probably get about 8 inches of depth down in there. So not the biggest center console, but you can fit what you need to down in there. And then closing that back up, you do not get a lockable lower glove box, and you get a decent amount of storage space in the glove box. There's a view of that. And then coming up to here, you have a universal garage door opener right here. So you get 1, 2, 3 different garage bays you can open up individually. And then this is also an auto dimming rear view mirror as well. Coming up to here, you get a spot you could set your sunglasses. And then your reading lights are both LED. This is your instant dome light on button to turn on the dome lights. And then this button right here is whether you want the lights to turn on or not when you open up the doors. So right now, if I open up the doors, the interior lights will not turn on. However, if that button is flush, now when I open up the doors, the interior lights will turn on. And then also, as standard with the Carbon Turbo, you get a sunroof, and you pull back on that. The sunroof will slide, but the sunroof also will tilt as well. Let's see if we'll go back any further. No, it won't. So if you wanted the sunroof to tilt up, all you would have to do is push up and the sunroof will tilt, push forward and it will close right back up. And then moving into my visor, opening this thing up, you get a LED light, you get a vanity mirror, and then the visor itself does not slide forwards and backwards, but you do get this little slide out for when the sun is in those awkward positions. And then last but not least, the driver gets a no poop panel, and so does the front passenger. Visor on that side looks the exact same as the visor here on the driver's side. And I will say, I think these seats for me are very comfortable. I'd say even if you're like 220 pounds, I still think you'd be comfortable in these seats. But maybe if you're like, you know, 270 to 300, I don't know how comfortable you'd be in these seats. I can't speak to what that is like. A couple things I wanted to mention that you get as standard. You get the 10-speaker Bose sound system, the wireless charging pad, the adaptive cruise control, the head-up display, the heated and ventilated front seats. And now I'm going to throw the entire window sticker on screen, and you can take a look at whatever you want to. The couple options this vehicle has, everything that you get as standard, but I am just going to highlight the MSRP. So the MSRP of the way that this particular 2024 Mazda CX-5 Carbon Turbo is spec'd is $39,220. I think this is a great value because it pretty much gives you everything. The only complaint I have about not just the CX-5, but the CX-5 lineup as a whole is I think they need to incorporate a 360-degree view camera system when they do a refresh. You know, that is a must, and I think that needs to come on the upcoming refresh, whenever that may be. But I do want to show you what we got going on in the rear seats before moving into the driving portion of the video. So as mentioned, you get automatic up and down windows here at the back, but they do not quite go all the way down. Automatic up. Then same kind of vinyl wrapping here, the gray trim, the door handle, the nicely padded armrest with the terracotta accent colored stitching, a little bit of storage space and a speaker. And then this is what your rear seats look like. Again, you can fold them from either the rear, or you can grab onto here and you can fold them down. But stepping on into the interior back here, I wanted to show you that you do get a no poo panel and a spot you could set your dry cleaning. You also get a seat back pocket behind the driver's seat, as well as a seat back pocket behind the passenger seat. You also get 2 HVAC vents here and a center fold down armrest with 2 cup holders, a spot you could set your phone, and a little bit of storage space in here. You could also set your phone if you are charging it with either one of these USB-A ports down in here. So I know that's not picking up all that great on camera, but 2 USB-A ports there. And then last but not least, you get 2 reading lights back here that are both LED. Now, when it comes to seat comfort, I will say I think these seats are a little bit firmer here in the rear than they were in the front, but they are still comfortable. Can I recline these seats? I believe I can. Yep, they are reclinable, so you can recline these second row seats. And when it comes to headroom, I am 5'9". I've got plenty of headroom when the seats are reclined. And then when it comes to leg room, I am 5'9". I got the seat a little bit further back than I would normally have it, but I still have leg and knee room back here. Here's another view of that leg and knee room. And really, that's kind of about it for what we got going on here in the interior of the CX-5 Carbon Turbo. So, you know, we've talked about the exterior, we've talked about the performance, and now we've talked about what's going on here in the interior. So I want to see what this thing's like to drive, as I'm assuming you guys do as well. So I'll see you guys in the driver's seat. All right, now on to the driving portion of the video. Take a listen. All right, the first thing I wanted to say is that this thing is actually like pretty fun to drive, but also I don't know if this is just Carbon Turbo specific, because I can't remember. I did a video with a premium and that one did not have the turbo engine, but the suspension, I would say, is kind of on the firmer side of things, which kind of equates to a very good handling experience. But you know, when you hit certain bumps, you can feel them a little bit, but it's not obnoxious. But it is, I will say, on the firmer side of things. But again, that's going to make it handle very, very well around turns and just doing any sort of high-speed maneuver. So, you know, some of you may like that, some of you may not like that. I just figured I'd put it out there. Another thing I wanted to say is that I really, really enjoy the driving experience of this thing and the driving position. The driving experience is very fun, and one thing that I really, really like about Mazda's turbo engines is that you can either fill them up with regular or you can fill them up with premium, and you get some additional horsepower and torque if you do end up filling it up with premium, which I think is really cool. And I hope more manufacturers start doing stuff like that, because it kind of gives you the opportunities to be like, okay, well, today I feel like I want to drive fast. Okay, put some premium in it and you get about 30 horsepower extra. So I think that is really cool personally. But if you want to save the money and you want the turbo engine that's going to make obviously more power than the naturally aspirated engine, you can still fill it up with regular and you're going to save when you go to the gas pump. But if you feel like spending a little bit of extra money, having that little bit of extra power, you can do that as well. One thing I did want to mention though, this being the Carbon Turbo with the head-up display, you know, if you're wearing sunglasses, polarized sunglasses, what I have on right now, it does make it a little bit difficult to read the head-up display system. And it's not just with this vehicle that's like that, you know, it's with any head-up display system that I've experienced with doing these car reviews, is that anytime you wear, I don't know if it's just my polarized sunglasses or just polarized sunglasses in general, or if it's all sunglasses, it does make it a little bit more difficult or dimmer to read the head-up display. But here's floored. Very quick. And then one thing I also like about this is hearing the turbo noise. But take a listen to what this thing sounds like cruising at about 60. So it's pretty well insulated from the outside world. I wish it was a little bit more insulated, but I would like to test one of these things out going like 80 miles an hour down the highway, because that's, you know, not that I would go 80 miles an hour down a highway, but some people might, and they want to know what it's like. But that was about 60 miles an hour. I can't really go any faster right here where I'm at right now. But I do like listening to when the turbo spools up. You can hear it from the driver's point of view. It goes, and then when you let off, it goes. So it's just cool, and that's another reason I do like turbo engines, and especially like on a daily driver. I've driven the naturally aspirated version of this, and you know, while it does have adequate power, it's not gonna, you know, be fun to drive necessarily. You know, if you're somebody who likes to lead-foot it around, you're not going to have so much fun, or you might be wanting some additional power if you do end up getting the NA engine. So if you're a lead footer, you like to drive faster, definitely consider getting the turbo, because that is what's going to give you the power that you're looking for in a daily driver SUV. So, you know, it just makes the driving experience just a little bit more fun. Now, I also wanted to talk about the sound system, because the sound system is actually very good in this. So as mentioned, it comes standard with a 10-speaker Bose sound system, and the sound system has the clarity, it has the bass. And I mentioned this yesterday because I did a video with a Cadillac XT6 that also had a Bose sound system. And Bose never really puts their name on anything on a sound system that doesn't sound good. You know, I've never really been in a vehicle where it had a Bose sound system and the Bose sound system wasn't good. So Bose pretty much always makes a really good sounding sound system, at least, you know, from my experience. Some of you may have, you know, bad experience with Bose, and I just can say that I've never had one, and I've never been like disappointed by a Bose sound system yet, at least. So the power is good, the ride is on the firmer-ish side, but that also equates to the better handling. Sound system is good, the seats are comfortable, the driving experience is fun, and the seating position is good as well. Now, when it comes to the infotainment system, there's not too much you can do with the infotainment system, which, you know, makes ease of use when it comes to the infotainment system. So the infotainment system is definitely a good. I like the infotainment system because it's not too complicated. It's easy to use. The only thing I do wish was a little bit different about it is I wish that it was just always touchscreen. And, you know, if the screen is touchscreen anyway, why are you gonna, you know, not let it be touchscreen when it's not in Apple CarPlay? So that doesn't really make sense to me. So that's kind of a neg in my book. I do wish that the touchscreen was touchscreen when it should be. Even though the touchscreen is touchscreen, it's not touchscreen unless you're in the wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto stuff. So I just think that's kind of weird. Here's a little acceleration. So it's got that off-the-line power. If you want to like get into a lane here real quick, it's got that off-the-line power to get you in the lane that you need to be. And that, you know, I might have just sold a few of you on the turbo, because the turbo is going to give you just that additional power. You know what I mean? And if I was going to get a CX-5 or recommend somebody a CX-5, it would be dependent on, I guess, their driving habits. If they're like a grandma, it doesn't really matter, but I'd still try to sell my grandma on a turbo. But, you know, I would recommend the turbo motor because it's better. You know what I mean? It's just got that power that you want, at least that I want. Some of you may not care about that, and you care about the fuel efficiency, and you care about just something that's going to get you from point A to point B. So, and save a little bit of money not getting the turbo. So anyways, those are my thoughts of the Carbon Turbo CX-5. Let me know what your opinions are on this in the comments down below. But that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to give the video a big thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm on my journey to 100,000 subscribers, and I cannot reach my goal without your support. So if you enjoyed the video, if you learned anything from the video, please just take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. Those things look very good for my channel in the YouTube algorithm, and that helps me get one step closer to my dreams every day. So I'd appreciate it if you do that. But again, that is it for today's video. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.